Today's list is one I've been wanting to tackle for a while. Today, we're looking at the top 10 greatest layup packages of all time, and I can get into all the ins and outs and all the nuances of how I'm determining my list. The truth is, most of this heavily relies on the eye test. And although there is some data that you can gather, like efficiency within 3 feet, you also have to factor in that not every player has the same supporting cast. Not every player has the same build, is the same height, and plays the same position. Some guys have larger and faster defenders than others. There's so many variables, so I don't claim that this is an objectively correct list. It's just my list based on the years of basketball that I've witnessed. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10, Vince Carter. Half man, half amazing. This guy is widely recognized as the greatest dunker in NBA history, but as I say time and time again, he was so much more than just that. And one of the things he did extremely well was finish at the rim, and he did it with an incredible amount of flair. Early in his career in Toronto, he was often compared to the great Michael Jordan, and it wasn't just for his style, and it wasn't just for his incredible hang time, but it was also for his grace, skills, and finesse when finishing around the rim. Carter could either out-leap you, he could spin around you, he could absorb the contact, and he knew how to put the perfect amount of English on the basketball to get the basket. Number 9, Steph Curry. In a way that's similar to Vince Carter always being referred to as a dunker, Curry is often pigeonholed as simply a three-point shooter. But again, that's not quite the truth either. Not only is Curry a great ball handler, but he's one of the best and most efficient shooters around the rim. He's fantastic at making difficult layups while off balance, and he has a tremendous finger roll layup. He usually puts far more arc on the basketball than most guys when they get that close to the rim. Regardless if it's from 30 feet, 15 feet, or within 5 feet, Steph is one of the best of the best. Number 8, Allen Iverson. The answer was famous for driving to the basket and absorbing tons of punishment, but he always fought through it, and oftentimes he was completing an and one. Iverson had a tremendous amount of body control, and he was fantastic at making shots in the most unorthodox ways. For all 48 minutes, he was a flat-out scorer, and if you were a rim protector in that era, you had to watch him like a hawk, as he was so creative and so good at finishing at the basket regardless of tremendous defense. Number 7, Kobe Bryant. Kobe was a fantastic in-game dunker, and famously, he posted a lot of bigs at the rim. But beyond that, Kobe was also fantastic at finishing while off balance. And as we all know, the Mamba was tremendous at making shots that most guys wouldn't even dare to shoot. A lot of guys tend to absorb the contact when they're at the rim, but Kobe knew how to contort his body in such a way where he would avoid the contact, which allowed him to finish the play. Whether it was on the right side, the left side, with his dominant hand, or his opposite hand, Kobe was fantastic at getting it done consistently. Number 6, Derrick Rose. He might have not had the greatest longevity, and yes, his significant injuries did ruin his amazing potential. But with that being said, in his youthful prime, he was one of the most elite and most explosive players when attacking the basket, and typically, he used that to his advantage, and used that extra hang time to outlast the defender and make the basket on his descent. He was so great at double clutching the basketball, and would often look like he was about to finish on one side, but would then convert the basket on the other end. Many people forget just how good he was in his MVP form, but for myself personally, he had a layup package that was just good enough to have him just outside of my top 5. Number 5, Julius Erving. Dr. J is famous for possibly the most iconic reverse layup in NBA history. In a way that was similar to Michael Jordan, Julius Erving had ridiculously massive hands, and because of this, he was able to grip the basketball better than most players, and was able to do certain things with it in the air that a lot of guys couldn't do. He had the finesse, he had the length, and he had the imagination and artistry to convert so many layups that a lot of guys couldn't do. He also had a tremendous finger roll reminiscent of another great player. Speaking of which, number 4, George Gervin. Without question, the Iceman had the greatest finger roll in basketball history, as he would put a tremendous amount of arc on it and used it to make a number of difficult shots even when the defense had him completely smothered. Although the finger roll was certainly his bread and butter, it wasn't his only major skill, as he did have some tremendous hops and he had a quality reverse layup. He was also extremely ambidextrous when attacking the basket, as he could hit his finger rolls with either his right or his left hand, and he did it with remarkable efficiency. Number 3, Dwayne Wade. Now, Wade was one of the most difficult players for me to rank on this list, because yes, he was explosive, and yes, he had a tremendous layup package. But Wade is a guy who was great at making layups that often look like ridiculous attempts. In other words, he made a lot of shots around the rim that people would simply brush off as luck. But in my opinion, Wade did it with such regularity that there's no way you could simply call it luck. When attacking the basket, he was extremely focused and had a good sense of his surroundings and tremendous awareness. It was his body control and concentration that allowed him to convert all of those baskets. And if volume is a factor, then Wade should certainly get extra points for that as well, as he was one of the top scorers in the entire league and was one of the most aggressive slashers that the game has ever seen. In other words, he was great at making a variety of layups, and he did it extremely often. Number 2, Michael Jordan. As you all know, I'm usually very pro Michael Jordan on this channel, and I've done a lot of top 10 lists where MJ came out on top. This is probably going to be a hot take, and will probably have a lot of people upset in the comments section, but for me, MJ has the second greatest layup package of all time. He had the hang time, he had the finesse, he was great at finishing through contact, and despite what the narratives are, he was great at finishing around the rim with both his right and left hand. MJ has so many impressive reverse layups that it's enough to make your jaw hit the floor, and for a while, I considered him as easily the number 1 choice for the greatest layup package of all time. That was until another player came along. Number 1, Kyrie Irving. In my opinion, he's easily one of the top 5 most skilled players in the history of the league, and one of those major skills is his ability to finish around the rim. I've never seen a player have as much control of the basketball overall as Kyrie Irving does. He has the ultimate layup package when it comes to putting the perfect amount of English on the basketball to convert the play from basically any angle. Seemingly on a nightly basis, Kyrie is making a basket around the rim that just shocks the audience. He's fantastic with both his right hand and his left hand, and it doesn't matter if it's a teardrop, a reverse layup, an unconventional layup, over a player a foot and a half taller, or at an angle that seems impossible to execute. I believe Kyrie is your best bet to get it done. Here is my list of honorable mentions, should any of these players have made the top 10 instead. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.